felt really lucky to have this big, beautiful atrium as our blank canvas. From the very beginning, we wanted to create a sculpture that preserved all this open space, maintain these sight lines, and really work with the natural light in the space. We thought of a lot of different ideas of what we might do in the space and eventually landed on this notion of a sculpture made of objects that can disappear and appear from nowhere. Flocking birds is this great example of collaboration in nature, and it seemed to really capture the spirit of the work that was going on in the building.
When we were in the prototyping phase, we were trying to balance two issues. On the one hand, we wanted these things to go from as small as possible to as large as possible, so have a large dynamic range. But we were balancing that with the beauty of the form and also its simplicity, the fact that it had to work for millions and millions of cycles. So we started with the simplest things possible, inspired from bird flapping, wings, jellyfish, but they wouldn't get quite small enough, which is when we started looking more in depth into origami and folding structures. And as soon as we started folding structures upon themselves, these elements were able to get 10 times their original size.
So the mechanism we came up with to drive this thing was derived from a wine bottle opener. It was a great design Gwilym came up with. And once we sort of solved that problem and evolved the design to incorporate that idea, we did a bunch of testing, and once we proved all the design out through testing, we moved into production and we made 400 of them.
It's always plentiful of unknowns when you build a sculpture this size. We don't know if the electronics is going to work, if the element is going to do what we want them to do, and the software is running the way it should. And then the big question with this was also the physical installation of it. We had to use the tallest and slimmest lift to be found in the US. Slim little guy. And it was totally necessary for us to use that, otherwise no sculpture.
So a computer in the penthouse is sending out animation data in real time across an RS-485 network. And on each element, there's a custom electronics board that's listening only for its own position and updating its motor accordingly to create these patterns across the entire sculpture. In the end, after months of testing and wiring and building, we finished the installation and it looks amazing.